My presentation in summary was an outline of where the wood industry has taken the building code and the building code process and moved it away from the rigor of experts, committee work, and debate, and moved it away from the building code process into the realm of politicians. And so what they've done here in BC is made changes to the building code by way of politicians, by way of legislation. And that's not typically what we do in Canada. Actually, we don't do that in Canada at all. And it started in BC, and what the wood industry is doing is lobbying the rest of the provinces to do the same. And if we truly believe in public safety and the rigor of great science, peer-reviewed science, and that filtering down into changes, that's what we believe and we stand for, but the wood industry is not doing that. So one of the major aspects today is to identify what the wood industry has done and is doing, what their goals are in the future, and as an industry and as a collaboration of the various industry sectors within the construction industry saying that's not right, that's not fair, and that shouldn't be done. It was something that was started off in British Columbia, and it gives the preferential treatment to the wood industry all over all other building materials for construction. So for the British Columbia government, when they're going to be building a structure, the designers are forced to use wood. That doesn't give them the opportunity to pick or choose the most correct building material for the application, and it basically says you must use wood. Now, we're looking at it from a perspective of the steel industry and some of the other industries and say, well, wait a minute now. We have businesses here in British Columbia. We have employees that rely on employment and in their industry sector. And we have, for many, many years, competed aggressively one against each other, but on a fair and level playing field. And what the wood industry is trying to do, and it was successful in British Columbia, is to get the governments to side and jump into the construction industry and say, well, no, the wood industry is going to be the winner. And they haven't been stopping there. So they have been going across Canada to the federal government, but luckily the federal government said no to that request. But they're going to the provincial governments and even to the municipal governments and trying to get them to buy into the Wood First legislation. Now, that's one aspect, but I guess one of the real concerns we have is the misinformation that the wood industry is doing to justify the promotion of Wood First legislation. In many cases, it's spinning incorrect misinformation that shows the wood industry in a more positive light over all building materials. And what we've seen here today is that in many cases that's not true. It's not a clear black and white situation. And we want politicians to see, to understand that the governments do not need to be in the legislation game for construction. They do not, and we do not want them to pick a winner or one building material over another, because with the information they're given from the wood industry, they're making the wrong choice. The construction industry, as pointed out today, really didn't do a good job of reacting to what was going on in British Columbia at the time. We, as an industry, we put all of our resources into innovation, research and development, engineering, good construction practices, health and safety, and not into government lobbying. You don't see the concrete industry and the steel industry government lobbyists, but the wood industry have been quite successful and needed that government lobby activity for many years for a number of different reasons. So what the construction industries are doing more and more now is realizing that because we have one sector of the construction industry lobbying negatively against all the others, One of the first steps that we're doing from the steel perspective is increasing our government lobbying and government awareness and trying to provide them with the true facts. So we've been quite active going across to many of the governments, provincial governments across Canada, identifying the steel industry as a starters, and secondly, our sustainability efforts and our goals in the future and where we are right now and where we're going to be. As the steel industry, we have done a lot of work just recently and quite successfully and within the last year or so of getting environmental sustainable information, data that can feed into the kind of the code word or the terminology we use in sustainability is life cycle analysis. We didn't have that data in the past, and we now do have that data, and we're feeding that into life cycle analysis to actually be able to justify our position that we are as good as other building materials given the right application. So the steel industry is quite aware that different materials are good for different applications. So it's not one material for all applications. There's a suite and a need for various materials out there. And the reality is that in many projects, and most projects, we use pretty well all of them in a building and not just one. So we're getting the relevant data. We're improving the steel industry from an environmental perspective. We've decreased our CO2 emissions since 1930 by 30%, and we do have goals to decrease that even further in the years to come. And this is what we believe as the steel industry, that programs like LEED and some other ones that drive sustainability change. So it's not just are you sustainability or not, but what are you doing in the future to actually improve? So here you are now, okay, that's great, but where will you be in 10 years? So we've got an action plan to continually improve the steel industry over time. From a steel perspective and a construction perspective, the industry here is all the entire construction industry. We want the repeal in BC of Wood First. The lessons are already probably been learned from within BC, and hopefully we'll be able to communicate those to other governments that to be involved in legislating changes to the building code is not a wise one. We do have national and provincial building codes. Let them run their course the way they have done for all these years. You look at the construction in Canada, and you rarely see a building falling down in Canada. But you look at some of the textile industries in India and Bangladesh and some of the other places, and you've got people working in buildings and they're falling down. We do have safe buildings in Canada because we have an excellent building code. The system works. So we do not need governments involved in that process, and we believe they should stay out. Now, what is done is done here in British Columbia. So what they need to do is make sure that what they've come up with is refined to a point where public safety is maintained. For other provinces, even at the provincial level and the federal level, we would like to see that the governments stay neutral, they stay out of it, and let the experts do the work they need to do to integrate new changes, new innovation, and ultimately better and safer buildings.